Hello, I'm Jim from Come Play With Us, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing the latest expansion for the Return to Dark Tower Covenant. I have done a playthrough of this using this expansion, so if you want to see how it plays, you can watch that video. I've linked down to it below in the description, in the show notes. So let's start about talking about the components. So what do you get in the box? So you get the main feature of the expansion, which are these new monuments. And yeah, these are kind of the most spectacular minis in the game so far. Now, I don't have the miniatures pack for Return to Dark Tower, so I just have the basic box with the building miniature that comes with the building miniatures and the hero miniatures, and then everything else is kind of tokens. But these are really nice. So of those, these are kind of the nicest. They've got a wash on them, so they look really good. So you'll get 8 of those. You get 4 new characters. So I was playing with this one in the playthrough here, and you get another 3. So we've got the Reverent Astromancer, the Relentless Warden, the Daunted Aegeus, and the Devious Swindler. And then the same kind of player mats and everything, they match really well with the original game. There's no issues with, different card coloring or anything like that. You'll get these new blessing cards. They're kind of interesting. You'll get some more corruptions, a new treasure deck that you can use on its own or mix in with the regular deck. They recommend if you're playing with the Monuments expansion to use the new treasure deck because some of the cards in there will help mitigate some of the things that are in the new expansion. You'll also get these wasteland tokens. I'll talk about those later. And also you'll get the new Doom Skulls, which are black. They're black skulls, basically, these guys here. So that's pretty much it for the new components. Quality is the same as the regular game, so if you have the no difference there. Really good quality for all the components, cardstock, everything is just top notch. So I have no complaints there. It's the usual package, what you would expect from this company and this game. All right, so let's talk about the mechanics of the new expansion. So the main mechanic, I'll start with the main mechanic, the monuments. So what these do in a regular game, that you'll start, if you're using the monuments, you'll start the game. Also, I should mention that you can't use this expansion with the first expansion, I think that was called Alliances or whatever. It's either or, so you can't mix the two together, which is all right. Then it keeps the game from getting super complicated. But so if you're playing with the monuments, you're going to replace you'll place one regular building in each of the regions with a one of these foundation tokens. Okay. And so at the beginning of the game, you'll be missing one building in each of the regions. And then as you're playing the game, you'll have a monument card that starts on the foundation side or the unbuilt side. And it'll have an offering on it. That will trigger every time there's a trigger on the offering, and every time that triggers throughout the game, you'll put a cube on it, one of these offering cubes. And when you get 3 on there, if one of the characters or heroes goes to that foundation and they can use a new heroic action called build, then you can build the monument, you flip it over, and you place the monument out to replace that space. And then it'll give and basically what they are is they're like kind of super buildings. So they replace the original building that was in that spot, and they give it kind of a bigger power. So for instance, this Arch of the Golden Sun, this guy is replacing the Bazaar. And so the free ability is the same as the Bazaar game, the gear, but the upgrade ability is better. So this one is pay 5 influence to gain a virtue and the top 2 cards of the treasure deck. So wow, that's awesome, right? The other thing is you can still use the original abilities of the building, so it's an either or. So it's basically they're just upgraded buildings is what they are. So that's really cool, and I like the fact. Well, I'll talk about my likes and dislikes in a bit, but yeah. So that's how they work. So that's the main addition to the game. And then the other addition to counterbalance that, of course, they always have a counterbalance, is these wasteland tokens. Now what these do is these come out over the course of the game on the board, and they go onto different regions, and they take away the region type of that square, so they become wastelands, so they're no longer hills or plains or forests. And the other thing they do is you can't move through them, so once you move into a wasteland square, you can't move out of it till the next turn. So they kind of gum up the board and movement. And then there's a lot of mitigation for that in the game with the new treasure cards, and that's why they recommend to use the new treasure deck, because you'll get a lot of the treasure cards that I've seen so far kind of like teleport you around the board. So that kind of helps mitigate that. Another new component here are these blessing cards. These guys, you get them. They're temporary, so they give you a wild advantage, but you lose them at the end of your turn. So if you don't use them, you lose them right away. So those are kind of neat. They give you a little bit more flexibility on how to fight things. And then, of course, there's the 4 new characters in the game, and they're all very different. So they're more complex than the base game characters. The one I've got here in front of me is the Reverend Astromancer, and this character comes with a deck of spell cards that you get to pick one every month. Well, you get to pick the month number. So if it's month 1, you get to pick 1. If it's month 2, you get to pick 2. Month 3, you pick 3, and so on. So as the game goes on, you'll have more of these activated spells in front of you, and they're kind of one-time use for the month. Once you use them, you kind of put them out, and they're done for the month. And then when you upgrade, you can add these invocations, which are like super spells, and these look pretty awesome. And you can add these. So there's one of your upgrades is to add these to the deck. And that's basically it for this one. I mean, this character also like removes skulls and gets blessings and that kind of thing. So he's really cool. I enjoyed when I did my playthrough with him. Really enjoyed him. And the other ones are they're we've got the Relentless Warden here. This one, his special abilities, if your you got a quarry token, which is this kind of like eagle token. So if that token's not on a foe, you can place it on a foe. Otherwise, you move your quarry up to 2 spaces, and then you can prevent up to 3 army losses per battle card when you battle your quarry. So that one's kind of interesting. The Undaunted Aegis. He, for each corruption you have, gain 3 warriors. You may spend 10 warriors to remove one of your corruptions. So this one kind of messes with corruption. Oh, he's got a starting corruption. That's kind of interesting. And then you got the Devious Swindler. Roll the haggle die and gain the result. So every turn you get a free roll of the haggle die, and then when you roll the haggle die, you ignore the bad symbol, and when you battle, you gain all advantages in the treasure market. So he's kind of a really interesting character. So the characters in here are all really interesting and different. Okay, so I think that's basically. Oh, the one other new thing is the black skulls. So these will get dropped into the tower throughout the game, and when these go out, the thing about them is you can't remove them, so they're permanent. So there's no way to remove the black skulls, so they start piling up and causing you issues. And then of course they've added new goals in the game for the monument adventures. So you can do this monument specific adventure. So in my playthrough, I do one of the monument specific adventures, and that one was a really fun one, where the goal was to build 3 monuments, and then a hidden dungeon is revealed, and you have to go into the dungeon. So that was pretty cool. yeah, so that's it for the mechanics, the new mechanics in the game. Okay, so what do I think? Let's talk about the bad things first, as usual. What don't I like about this expansion? I think the only thing I really don't like about this expansion is these wasteland tokens. Um, they so when they come out, basically there's an event, usual in the game. There's an event that will put these out, and it puts out one wasteland token in each region every time that event is triggered. Um, and I think I was 3 months into the game. I'm about to start my fourth month, and I've got, look at here, 6 wasteland tokens in each region. 6. So that's really making movement really difficult on the board. So you really need to find cards in this treasure deck that will allow you to kind of teleport around to get around those wasteland tokens. Uh, yeah, it just I don't find that. I mean, it's a little interesting at first because you kind of do better route planning, right? And if you get one, really gonna want to try to get one of those treasure cards that can allow you to kind of teleport out of trouble because you can get into. I've got some squares on the board right now where it's surrounded by wasteland, so like trying to get in there is impossible if you need to get to one of your quest positions or something. Um, I think it needed to be dialed back a little bit. So I don't mind the mechanic overall having that in there, but it seems to be too much to the point where you can't move at all. You can only like move one square a turn or something like that. Yeah, I don't think I like. I don't mind it. I just think it's too much. Too many are coming out, and there's no way to get rid of them. So yeah, I don't know if I like that. That's probably the one thing about this expansion that I don't like. Okay, what do I do like? I like pretty much everything else. Of course, my favorite thing about this expansion is it adds 4 new characters. So that's kind of like double the base game. I think the first expansion added 2 new characters. So now, if you have both expansions, you'll have a total of 10 characters. So that's awesome. I love trying out the different characters. They're all really interesting. Even these ones are more complicated, the game's still really streamlined. So they're even complicated characters in this game are still fairly simple to run. And they're a lot of fun. All the new characters that they added in here. So I think that's any time they add new characters in an expansion, I'll be down for it because that's part of a lot of the fun in playing this game. The monuments, these ones, you know, they're a neat addition. I think I like the monuments, adding them to the game because I'm playing an adventure that's specific around them, so I'm trying to build these things. So that's cool, and I like that goal. So that's a neat scenario to play. Um, if they were just in like with one of the regular scenarios, they'd be kind of benign. So it would kind of restrict you a bit because you'd have less buildings on the board. But I think what they did really well with the monument expansion is the triggers on the cards are things that you're just going to be doing anyway. So they'll naturally gather their offerings to the point where they can be triggered, and then you're just spending one action to build them. Of course, you have to be on the space too. So there's a couple things there. So you really don't have to go out of your way too much to build these monuments. So like the ones I've got here in front of me, defeat a foe in a space adjacent to the tower. So anytime somebody does that, cube goes on there. This one is spend or lose a treasure. So anytime anybody spends or loses a treasure, cube goes on there. So it's things that you're going to do anyway. So you don't have to go out of your way to try to get the offerings on here. In my game, I am a bit because I'm trying to get 3 built. But otherwise, it's not too hard to get these on. And then it's one action to build it. And once you have it built, then you got a really cool super building that you can go to and use. So yeah, I really like that. I think it doesn't get in the way of the game too much. So it's just kind of if you're not playing a monument specific scenario, they're not going to get in the way or anything. They're just kind of cool and they look really beautiful on the board. So yeah, I really like the monument edition. The blessings, this one's okay. I like that it gives you a little bit of extra mitigation. Of course, because of the wasteland The wastelands take away the terrain effects, so you're going to lose a lot of your advantages. So this kind of makes up for the fact that you're, if I've got, hills advantage, I'm not going to have it late in the game because all the spaces are going to be wastelands. This is kind of making up for that. So that one's just kind of okay. It's just there. Um, and some of the new treasures and stuff that they're fine and everything. And I always like to have a little bit more variety in the game, so that's great. So I'd say really the two main reasons to get this expansion are the new characters and the monuments. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything there is for the game. So what's my final verdict on this expansion? I'm thinking I'm giving this one an 8. I think it's really good. I don't think it's essential. I think the game's fine without it. You don't need this expansion. I think the kind of best reason to get this expansion is to get the 4 new characters, and then the monuments. And it's always nice to have more scenarios and stuff in the monuments. Like I said, they don't overcomplicate the game, so just putting them in there, just gives you more variety and things. So yeah, if you want a bit more variety in the game, if you want new characters to play with, then I think this is a great expansion to add to your game. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.